What is up, everybody? It is your boy Tay, and we got a special one for you tonight. A very, very special one. Um, this woman that I'm about to bring on here is literally the reason why I tolerate children the way I do. Why I created the Galaxy Girls. She's literally the inspiration behind like why I became a teacher and things like that. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about my sixth grade teacher, Miss Pieri. So a lot of you might hear that name and think, hey, I know that person. If you went to school with me, you definitely know who she is. And if you didn't get go to school with me, you're gonna know who she is. Um, quick fondest memory of her is we had like it was like a culture type day thing, and she brought these things called stuffed grape leaves, and I didn't like it much, but I tried it later in life, and then I liked it, and then it was just like, okay, yeah, I like this. So that's another reason why we brought her on here. But without further ado, here is my teacher, Miss Pieri.
Hi. Oh my God.
Hi, hi.
I'm crying here.
So,
Oh my God.
so it's been what, years since we've talked face to face.
It
Last
has.
time, last time she saw me, like I was a kid. That's how crazy this is, and that's how surreal this is right now. Last time she saw me, I was a kid. But tell the people a little bit about yourself. About yourself. Go ahead.
Oh my God. I don't know where I start. Let's see. This is my 25th year. I'm starting it in September, 25th year teaching in New York City. Um, I'm Greek, but from Cyprus. It's a separate country. It has nothing to do with Greece. We're totally different. Um, I have two kids. They're both adults now. My daughter is a first grade teacher in Connecticut. She's 24 years old, and my son is a pilot and starting his sophomore year in college in Florida, the aeronautical school, and he's 19. Um, it's just I love anything to do with summer. Summer is my whole vibe. Being outside by the beach, looking at it, being in it. That's my favorite happy place in the whole world.
Okay. Okay. We have a few comments here, and I believe this is your daughter. It says like my mom. But we also have another comment here from one of your students, Sharice.
Oh my God, Cherise! Oh my God.
So,
Oh, I'm like, I see you on Facebook all the time, Cherise. And your beautiful daughter. Your little
so
me. That's she has a little mini me.
yeah, her daughter looks exactly like her. Um,
Oh my God, I'm so
so
touched right now. I really can't.
like what when did you what was the moment that you decided to become a teacher?
That's an interesting question because I had a few options. Um, yeah, while I was in college, one was to because I knew what I loved, and that was learning about history. But like what to do with it was something that well, it's either you're going to be archaeologist or something like that, like out in the field, or study it for the rest of my life and not really making any money or being having any like depth. Um, or I was offered a job for the at the United Nations, and I turned it down
Oh,
because, yeah, I knew I always wanted a family, so I didn't want to have to move around to wherever the UN would send me. So I just then decided, one of my aunts in my family in Cyprus, she was a teacher. She was a teacher. She, unfortunately, she passed away at a young age. She had cancer and died at 42 years old. But my fondest memory of her was going to her school and helping her out. She had like a nursery school and little kids, and I would spend time with her. And the way she was with those kids was something. And I always loved children, so I said, you know what? Why don't I just do this? Why don't I teach? I don't have the patience for little ones. So, and because I love my subject, history, I said, all right, let me just do this on the secondary level. That way I get a balance of what I love, and that's history and kids,
oh,
and they're equal to me, right?
okay, okay.
That's my inspiration.
We have a few more comments here.
Oh, is that my son?
Aviator Ghost. Okay. Yes. Hi, Mike.
Oh my God. Oh, that's my sister.
Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, like I said in the beginning, like you, Miss Smilowitz, Miss Manning, and Mr. Wilson were all reasons why I decided to become a teacher. So, and like you, I can't tolerate the little ones.
Right.
Like pretty much pre-K to first grade, no, but like my sweet spot is like third to seventh grade. That's
Oh,
the sweet spot. So
Uh, I'll give that to you because I can't even do that anymore. High school is
yeah.
where it's at for me. Juniors and seniors, that's what I want. That's all day, all night.
Okay. Okay. So tell me about your like so you have the teaching job, but tell me about your first day ever in the classroom as a teacher.
Okay. It's actually traumatic. It was traumatic for all of us because my first day with the students was 9/11, the terrorist attack.
Oh.
Because I did teach in Yonkers for a little bit, but it wasn't set for me to stay there. So I came and I found MS-45, and I remember Mr. Salanto hiring me, and I was very gracious about it. But here I am, first year, uh, 20 years old, 20, 21 years old, trying to do this for the first time for real in the city, and then that traumatic event happened, and it was very traumatic. Um, I never thought on my first day of school that we would be in grief counseling, all of us. I never thought on our first day of school we would be doing crowd control outside for the amount of parents coming in all at once to pick up their kids, scrambling. I didn't even think I had my daughter at the time. She was a year old, and I didn't think I was going to make it home to her. We were all terrified. I had a colleague who couldn't find her boyfriend at the time, who was a firefighter. She was in shambles. We had to work together to uplift each other. I just remember the phone call from downstairs and my principal saying, "Don't tell the kids yet." He's telling me everything, but I had to stay stoic and be calm, even though I'm hearing something that is extremely upsetting. Um,
Oh.
and so I had to stay calm, and then we had to just triage and figure things out. Um, but we all made it through that first year, and came out stronger and better for it. And that's one for the history books as an historian.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I remember my day at the school because I was left back in the sixth grade. So this is my I like to call it my first term in the sixth grade.
Hmm.
And it was just weird that my grandmother had picked me up early from school, and then I'm looking at my friends and they're going home too, and I'm like, huh. I guess it's a half a day. That's what we all thought it was. I guess it's a half a day, but as time went on, we really started to realize like, oh, there's a world event happening right now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
it was something else. Like to this day, students will ask me, Miss, can you talk about this day? And I refuse. I said I can't. I'm still very traumatized from it, and I hope you would respect that. You know, I lost friends that day. Lost. It was just being there in the city when it happened was traumatic in and of itself. But then knowing that I had classes of kids, because you weren't the only class, I had to travel to the other classes, knowing that I
Mhm.
had to. Now, how am I going to teach you and get to know you guys when we're all stressed out and trying to figure our lives out after this horrible, horrific event, right? Um, but like I said, we did it and we came out stronger for it.
Definitely. We have another one of your old students in the
Yay!
comments, and it is
Nelson!
Miss,
Oh my
Mr.
God.
Nelson.
I remember you so much.
Yes.
Oh my God. Did
Some would
he move
say he,
down south, I think, right? I think he's moving down south now or something.
I, I believe so.
Like Roanoke or whatever. Oh my
Some
God.
would say he was the class clown.
He
I
was.
would, some would say, but that's for the history books. um, Nelson says he is in Pennsylvania right now.
Okay, cool. Yay, PA.
PA. So, how is teaching different from how you imagined it to be?
Um, it was totally the opposite of what I thought it was going to be. And um, by that meaning, like, you'd, I wanted, oh, everyone's going to pay attention. Everyone's going to read. Everyone's going to write. Everyone's going to listen when we're doing, like, we're, doing the lecture portion of the class to teach them something. But no, kids will always be kids. Um, I remember my first year, every day, my first year, because yeah, by the second year I was okay. But the first year I was like crying every day after school. I was like, why can't I? And thank God I had like a strong group of mentors and colleagues. Heidi Smilowitz being one of them. She was my mentor. She was obviously a veteran teacher at that time, and I just listened and I watched what all of the my other colleagues who had experience, and it did ended up doing exactly what they were doing, and it worked out for me too. But without that like full support system of my colleagues, at least okay, I would cry a little bit after school, and then we would laugh about it. What got me upset during the day, we ended up making jokes later on, and then it got me to the next day and the next, and so on and so forth. And then I think by February of that year, we had like the February break, and one of my classes, I don't know if you remember, Terrence and everyone else, like I also had to teach a class on the third floor. So I was up and downstairs. So I had like a bunch of you guys on the fourth floor, and then I had another class on the third floor. But next to my assistant principal's office was that classroom, and I would have them right after lunch. And the kids were throwing like carrots from the cafeteria at each other, yelling, screaming. And I remember Mr. Aliberti would come around every once in a while when he thought he was way too loud in there. He would come
Mhm.
in and he would say, he would calm them down. And then, I remember right before February break, he said, I think you should take this week off to really reevaluate and come back with more strength. Right. And I was like, oh my God, if I don't do this right, I'm going to lose my job. So I remember what it was. I looked at my next unit of study, and I knew that sixth grade. Oh, right, ancient civs. So the next topic was ancient Greece. I was like, oh, I know about that. That's easy, right? Let me make it more genuine right? So I ended up making students do projects on like ancient Greek art and architecture and literature and music. And we did a whole show, and the kids were coming in early and they were like working on their projects. And then we had to do this whole auditorium thing, this whole show, so that it was just, that's what did it. And that's when I realized I was really teaching. I was like, wow, these kids really want to show up and do this. And they were doing a great job. And I remember to this day that, like, it really is about like your instruction is guided by like what the delivery is, like what the ultimate and what the ultimate end point is, right? So you want to think of with the end in mind, like the UBD design, like what do you want them to do at the end? Because that you're going to map out all your lessons to get to that point, and then you're going to get kids excited, and then they knew it was genuine because that, was part of my culture, so they got a
Exactly.
piece of that too.
Well, just catching up on some of the comments. Your daughter said, I learned that one the hard way. Laugh out loud. Kids will always be kids. I can resonate with that
Yeah, kids will be
because
kids.
what people don't know about me is I adopted my daughter, but she started as one of my students
Oh,
in the after school program. And when I tell you she was terrible, she, that girl, she used to give me a run for my money. Um, Sharice says, Child, I never experienced Greek mythology like our class.
yes, yes, you remember
And trust me, and I can agree with her on that one because
that we had so
you
much fun with that.
exactly you made it fun, and that's what I feel like teachers nowadays should do. Pick something that they're passionate about and make it fun so that the kids will also be passionate about it.
I have that in my notes. I believe wholeheartedly that you got to have passion to do this job, and you have to be forgiving, and you got to let go of things, and you have to, like I said, like kids be kids. They're going to make mistakes. They're supposed to make mistakes. That's the
Definitely.
whole point of growing up. But and also, building genuine relationships with kids, nothing fake, nothing whatever. They so that they feel that love, that they're loved, and also that they feel that I feel loved by them, and that goes both ways, right? So if it's something like a kid is interested in that I don't really know about, I'll learn it so that I can get to know what they like. A bunch of my kids are into anime now, and I'm like, what is this stuff? And they've been teaching me so that I can figure it out, because then we'll have something to talk about together. Or like
Mhm.
when the kids are interested, like basketball is not one of my thing. I love sports, but I'm not into it that much. I'll at least look at the score so I can say, hey, oh, that's your team, right? Oh, they won last night, how you feel? Right? So like have
Mhm.
something in common, like they know that it's genuine, like I'm not making it up. Like I don't really know much about basketball, but I know your team won.
Yeah, yeah.
Something
Nelson
like
said that we learned a lot from you, which is true.
that. Oh,
Oh,
but I
we
learned
got another.
from you guys, though.
We got another one of your students in the chat,
Oh
Jeffrey.
my God, I remember you. Oh God, this is a blast from the past. I can't even. I'm so overwhelmed right now with emotion.
So
Oh my God,
yeah, so when I told everybody that you were gonna be on here, it's like,
I
listen.
can't believe this.
um,
So exciting.
Nelson also says Carolina is the best team. My boy, I don't know about that, my boy.
Oh, cool. I follow football too. Yes.
No, definitely
Yeah,
not.
I know Nelson's a big football fan too. Yes.
Yeah, about that. I don't know.
That
Um,
every Sunday I have to watch football. That's my thing.
okay. So tell me, actually, this is gonna be a question for you, but I feel like every student wants to know, and I'm aiming this specifically our class.
Okay.
Did you have a favorite student?
No, I don't have favorites. Everyone thinks that, oh, miss, you're lying. You're lying. No, I don't have favorites. Everyone. is favorite to me. Like all the it's to me, this is how I felt. And I'm talking specifically of your class and every other class that I've ever had and will continue to have. It really isn't like an honor for me and a privilege for me to be in front of you. Like, you guys are my bosses. That's how I considered it. I'm like, oh, they're not learning today. It's not them. It's me. I gotta fix something because if they're not, I have to change the way the plan is. I have to change the way the unit is gonna go. I have to change the way my delivery is gonna be. Right. So I never looked at it as having favorites. Like, it's just a favorite thing of mine to be around kids and to help them learn, give them the skills. But again, like I said, those reading and writing and thinking skills and discussion skills and relationship skills. Um, and all of that takes time. It doesn't happen within 1 year. That
Hmm.
that's the groundwork, and then hopefully that continues on into the next year they have, and so on and so forth, and whoever other teachers in front of them, hopefully that's something that sticks with them and that they carry to the next. That's what always I was, and that's what I was thinking when I had you guys as my kids.
Okay. Okay. So
Yay,
all
Jeffy.
Jeffrey said all good, but Sharice also said we were the favorites, law two to the sky.
No, that was fun. And we used to do, like, I don't know, those court cases later on. Like, didn't you guys travel into the seventh and eighth grade? We used to do that. That was fun.
Yeah, that definitely was fun. Um, me, be honest, I never really had a favorite. My daughter swears that she was the favorite because she became my daughter. So I'm like, yeah, you're my favorite. Now that you're my child. So,
Yeah.
but speaking of daughters, your daughter said that you were lying. So, mhm.
I'm not lying. No, there are students, we in the education field refer to them as cases, kids that have been through extreme trauma,
Mhm.
extreme either abuse or neglect or whatever unfortunate situation, right? Like this year I had, well, not just this year, I've had him since he was there, but, he was an orphan, really awful experiences. I'll spend more of my time with him. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean he's my favorite. Like it's just, I'm his school mom, so then I don't want to, like I said before, it's all about relationships and being genuine. If
Mhm.
he's my school son and I'm the school mom, I have to be there as a mother because that's what that child needs at that point, right? And
Yes,
I also need to know that he's okay, so that's how I take it. It's not really about a favorites thing. It really is like there are some kids in really difficult situations where, okay, your attention is just a little bit more, but the attention also goes to everyone else. You just surrounding yourself a little bit based on whatever situation at that moment for that child.
ex- exactly. And it
Yeah,
seems like there's an MS-45 reunion in the chat
yeah, it
because
better be.
we
Oh,
have
yay! Francesca!
Francesca,
Oh my
definitely an
God, that would be
MS-45,
amazing. Hey,
definitely
beautiful. Oh my God.
pretty.
I
When you tell,
remember you guys now, like, I really am like picturing in my head the way you were sitting in that room, like little faces, little bodies, little. I can't even.
and what's even more interesting is that after all these years, we all still keep in contact with each other.
Isn't this
Like,
amazing?
I would say that out of my whole school career, my middle school friends are the ones who stuck around. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to
Yay!
y'all.
Definitely. See, those are genuine relationships right there.
Exactly. Building genuine relationships.
Hmm.
Um, we have one of my podcast colleagues, Miss Shira Renee. Hey,
Hey.
how you doing? I call her my podcast sister. We do a lot of
Yay.
different types of podcasts and things like that. So Tell me about a funny moment that you had while teaching, whether it be with us or any
Hmm.
other class that you've taught.
Oh God, funny moment. Oh my God, there's so many funny moments. Oh, one year, how every year kids, we go into this new technological age, but you forget
Mm,
like things we used in the past, right? So one year I was in another school before I transferred into Manhattan, and there we had to do like this musical. I think it was like Grease or something, and I said, okay, great. So I didn't have the CD of it. I had a cassette tape, and the kids didn't know how to use a cassette tape. And I had to teach them. I'm like, wait a minute, but how do we get to that song? I was like, look, you fast forward, and then sometimes you have to flip around the cassette to get to that song. You see these titles of this song are on this side, side A. The other side is side B. um, but it was like cute and funny at the same time. They're like, what is it now? Of course, you're going beyond CD players and all whatever. Everything is digital music, but that was a funny moment. Um, uh, another funny moment was like, I don't know why, but like every time I fall down a lot. Like I'm very accident prone, but I have fallen downstairs. Oh, I fell at MS-45. I did. I fell down the stairs one time, and I went from the top down. And the kids behind me were like, Miss, are you okay? But I was cracking up. I was like, Miss, I was like, well, wait, this one moves, that one moves. I'm like, my legs. I'm like, I think I'm okay. I'm just gonna be really sore and bruised. But it was kind of cute that the kids weren't laughing, but I was the only one that was laughing. So I consider like those things, I think, like funny. I don't know. Kids, I've written down, but I have so many notebooks of like things that kids have said in the past that are really funny. Um,
mm,
but I don't even know what I did with it. And like my memory is like, but
okay.
yeah, those are some of the funny things.
So we have yet another student of yours in the
Hey,
chat. Live from YouTube.
David!
Hey there.
Oh my God. The chef. He is a chef now.
Oh,
He's an
that's
executive
great.
chef.
That's great.
Wow.
So speaking of like jobs and whatnot, if you weren't to become a teacher, what do you think you would be doing at this moment?
I can't. Like, I wouldn't do anything else. Like, I have the school building leadership license, like to do the assistant principal thing or principal thing. I don't want to do that. I'm going to do this until I retire. Nothing else makes me happier. Like even recently, like in the summer, I did the August Regents test prep for the kids that needed like the global or the U.S. history. I tutored them in person at my school, and then I tutored to the rest of them who were working on Zoom in the evenings, and they all passed. And that gave me the biggest satisfaction ever on the planet. I was like, yay! Some of those kids are in September. They're going to be seniors, so they need that exam to graduate. Like now this is off of their stress, and it just makes me happy that okay, that's another step that to their future, right? So and then just knowing that like, and all of my alumni who have graduated and they're adults, that they're successful, and they tell me, and I can see what they do for a living today, and I'm so proud of them, and it's so endearing. Like I just love it. I have kids that are dentists, doctors, lawyers, in the business world, entrepreneurs, teachers, um, chefs, whatever. Like it's amazing to see that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, definitely. It is definitely something. It is definitely something.
Yeah.
Um, so Francesca says, yeah,
Yay!
that's
Oh
right.
my
Miss
God,
Pieri
thank you.
still looks the same. My goodness. always looking so great, wonderful teacher of ours for a lifetime. And
Oh, you're still the sweetest. Such a sweetheart. Francesca, beautiful inside and out as a person. All of you are inside
definitely,
and
like all of us feel the same. Like when it came, I feel like in general, when it came to our law teachers, like those were the teachers.
And it
Like
was
you could,
I'm telling you, it wasn't easy. It was tough. You guys were tough. The other mini schools had it easier because they had different types of kids. They weren't as um, you guys had a lot of more needs
mm,
as far as like the skills that you still needed, and some of and different situations at home were also more difficult, right? But so we that's I think that was important though, because I think built the resilience and that drive to succeed, right? So that made us unique, right? No one wanted to
definitely,
stay there in their situation. Everybody wanted to do something better for themselves.
definitely. And we have another student of
Yay!
yours in the chat, and here she is.
Oh my god! Ah! With your beautiful children that I see all the time. Oh my god! See, that's the other thing. Now you guys have you have your own kids and your own life, like adult
Hmm.
lives. I'm like crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, law. My memories of Law Institute, like it was some of the best school. Well, not some, was the best school years um of my life because the friends, the teachers, and that one time that I got in trouble for writing something I shouldn't have wrote
We all do
about,
that. We
yeah,
and I
about
have done something bad at school.
and I think my friends in the chat know what I'm talking about. And don't know why I wrote that, but hey, whatever. But we're not gonna talk about that. And don't y'all put it in the chat either. Um, um, how would you like your students to remember you?
Um, that's a good question. I don't know. Someone's always passionate, caring, sensitive. Someone who loves music, sing my heart out. That's my thing. I still do that. I still sing with my high school friends. Um, Someone who they can continue to talk to because I'm still around as long as I'm around. They can always count on me to be in their life. They want me there. Um, and just I don't know that I've left like some sort of legacy to to um, promote goodness, and hopefully that becomes contagious. Like the more good you do, the more that is contagious. The positivity. A lot of people think like, oh, it's always the bad people and the bad stuff going on and all this, challenges. No, it's being kind that is more addicting. And the more we spread that and pay that forward, then we're raising generations of people who will then, and for their children, they'll grow up to continue that cycle of positivity, right? Because that's what's contagious. That's what I want people to think about. Like, just everyone's going to struggle. Life is not easy, right? But the more we stay positive, and uplift people instead of putting them down, the better our next generation will be, and the better this whole world would be. I feel like, oh, like a Miss America pageant thing, but it's not. It's true though. The more we can spread positivity and racial equity, the better that this will be, and to like break those, you know, uh, uh, white racist, Eurocentric history, and break that cycle, um, and the more we can benefit from each other.
I agree with that. I definitely do. Um, Destiny says, yes, middle
Yeah,
school was the best for me as well. We were like family.
family, definitely. And like
Still are
like
family.
just like Destiny said, like family, we like loved each other and we were great with each other and like family. And sometimes we hated each other like family. But that's what a family is. Sometimes you get really mad at that one family member. It's like, oh, like,
It's not gonna lie. I wanted to punch a couple of people in the face, but no, I had to play the shy kid role. That's the role I had to play.
yeah, you were shy though. Yeah. Now you've come out of your shell, but you were a shy kid. I remember that.
Yeah, I definitely was. I definitely was. Don't know why, but I was.
I was a shy kid too. It wasn't until high school that it started to change a little bit.
Sharice says we have experienced
Oh
many teachers and professors, but nothing compares to those 3 years. Memorable moments that created an everlasting bond.
absolutely. Definitely.
Definitely,
Oh my God.
definitely.
I couldn't agree more.
Let's see. Just catching up on some of the comments. Jeffrey says those are some of the strongest memories of school I have. You and Miss Smiley
Yeah.
was always the top spot of my teachers.
Yeah. Oh my God. How amazing is this? No, we were really, as I said, she was my mentor. I learned a lot from her. Um, and we still talk. Yeah, like I said, we saw each other last year because our payroll secretary passed away, Miss Kasha. So we had a whole reunion. It was really great to see everybody at her memorial. Um, it brought me back. None of us never changed. We were we were still laughing and talking about the same things from that
Mhm.
time. So it's so nice that we can still connect, you know.
Definitely. For those of you watching on Facebook, let's put some hearts in the chat from Miss Pieri. For those of you watching on Facebook.
Oh my God.
Um,
Like so like I'm blushing right now.
my next question. Um, did you like they well, I like to tell my colleagues that I have teacher sense. And what that means is like, did you know which kids were dating who
Yeah,
at that time? Like
yeah,
when we were in
yeah.
school?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very obvious. You guys didn't think we knew, but we all knew. I knew. Humans will be humans no matter if you're a kid or an adult. So, but I thought it was cute because that's normal and natural. So,
Uh-huh.
you know, we were just after school, we were kind of that was one of our laughing points. It was like, oh my God, did you did you see what he did with her? Shit. It was cute. It was something and we needed that laugh anyway. It was like, oh my God, it's cute. All right, I guess they're mad at each other. So tomorrow we won't put them in a group together. Or maybe we should just to mess with them.
So, for those of you watching, we do know, and they did know. So,
We always know.
so what advice would you give to someone that wants to become a teacher?
um, you gotta be patient. Biggest advice is being patient, being true to yourself will resonate with your students. So as long as you're okay with yourself and know who you are, and we change, we evolve, we become who we are as we get older, right? Based on our experiences, but um, keeping that literacy because I don't know anything about math, you guys. I'm not a math person, but I know that literacy skills, reading and writing, is really where it's and the type of lessons can really help not only build skills and knowledge, but also those relationships too. Because like I see it in my discipline, there's a lot of abuse in history, a lot. And when that topic comes up of abusive leaders and abusive people and whatever, and the things that they're reading and writing, they can relate to, and I can relate to those things, right? Because I've been there. The more you create that safe space of that discourse, um, it doesn't matter what age those kids are, right? But it's just easier for me on the high school level now. That's the biggest takeaway. That's the biggest advice, is that it's all built around those foundations. The kid is acting out because there may be other reasons. There of course there are other reasons. It's either something that's bothering them at home. It's either a skill that they are deficient in, that they're embarrassed about, a difficulty in understanding, because nobody understands everything. I don't know this tech stuff. I'm learning it now. Right? But that shows in their behavior, right? And so the more you give in skills, right, and scaffolds, the more confident they become, and so the less they feel the need to act out, and the more they're learning, right? And actually, it's me stepping back. That's another big advice. It really is presenting the material and the topic, and the kids are teaching each other. There, I believe in stations. I know I did that at MS 45, and I continue doing that here. My kids, this in my AP World History class, if they're learning, for example, about the revolutions, I don't have time to do all the revolutions at one point. So the kids are assigned one revolution each, and they have certain questions, and then they have to turn key. They have to go around to their other peers to find out about the rest of the revolutions. And then at the end, they write their essay for the exam, right? For that fits that prompt. So it's less of me talking, and it's more actually them reading, writing, thinking, and discussing with each other, and they're learning from each other. And I'm just there to facilitate, and I'm there to give them feedback on their writing, like, oh, I see it here. I see how you analyzed it. That gives you a point on the rubric, right? Oh, I see your thesis here. This is what you're going to prove. Perfect. That's your point for your essay. Go with it, right? So that's what I'm there for.
Okay. So my next question for you is, do you have a preference between public schools and charter schools?
Absolutely. Public schools all the way. Um, and here's why. That's our fundamental human right, is to a free education, a free and public education for all. What's happening now, the reason why I'm totally against charter schools, is that those are businesses, right? Corporations that open up schools. They use public buildings funded by taxpayers. They're not paying rent in those buildings. Those are public school buildings. And they set all their own rules. They can hire people who are not technically teachers without a teaching license. They they decide on which curriculums to use, and it doesn't matter if it meets federal and state guidelines. They decide on the pacing, they decide on the hours, they decide on the pay for their employees, which is much less than in public schools. And either way, it's a low paying job as it is, compared to other people with the same degrees of education that we have. We're supposed to have master's degree to do this, but we're not getting paid near our other counterparts in other fields with those same degrees. Um, and we're dealing with a lot more work. Um, but that, and then they don't teach all children. They push out students that are special education students, that are behavioral problem students, um, and they push them, and embarrass them to the point where they leave. And then we teach everyone. Plus, as I'm the UFT chapter leader at my school, I've been doing that for the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. Um, we need our benefits, our medical, dental, eye. We need our retirement benefits. We need our safety and security, in case something happens at work. If we get in trouble, we need representation. We need, there's all these other factors. If we are falsely accused of something, these things occur, right? You need some sort of protection, because that's my livelihood. How are my two children going to make it? How am I going to pay for my son's next tuition, right? How am I going to pay for my house and my roof over my head without that livelihood, without that profession, right? And so, last I'm going to say about this is that charter schools, this is what the biggest problem with them is, and I'll say it again. public schools should not be privately funded. We are not a business. We are not a corporation. We are in this for the growth and the learning of students. It is not a business. And so that's what their aim is, that's what their goal is, and I'm totally against it.
Okay, well, I kind of feel bad for working in a charter school then, so thank you. But uh big shout out to Jeffrey. He's actually applying for his master's in art next year
Yay!
to become an art teacher, actually.
Jeffrey, come to my school, Wadley Secondary for the Performing and Visual Arts. You would be a perfect fit there as an art teacher at my school. So I'm on the hiring committee. I'll help you get on.
Oh,
Help
see,
you get
Jeffrey, my boy, got yourself a job already. Look.
in. That's amazing, Jeffrey.
Where is that? All right. Sharice also said, as a parent, this information is very helpful for the years to come. We now have to be on the outside looking in. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely, Sharice. I know because you have a little one. And I know it's like tempting. It's like, oh, it's, these schools are better. No, ultimately, we have the not only the level of education but the expertise, and we have the experience of how to educate kids, right? And like I said, it's not a business. It is each child learns in a different way. I got to figure that out. I'm going to figure it out, and they're going to pass, right? And if they're not passing, then it's my fault, and I got to fix myself, right?
Mhm.
So,
And
as in charter schools, we'll just get rid of whoever. And wait, what did you say? Yes, my daughter. My daughter is yeah, is a controversial. She is working for a charter school because that's what she could get. But like I said, her hours are more. Her pay is a lot less. She has one. She's one teacher. She's got 32 first graders. No para.
oh,
No,
sheesh.
no teaching assistant, nothing. That's illegal. There are kids in her class that have IEPs or should have IEPs and no second teacher in the room. That is illegal.
For those who do not know what an IEP is, it's an independent learning plan. So yeah, and it I've dealt with kids with IEPs. So back when we were in school, they called it special ed,
Right,
but now there's different names to it for nowadays. And she's absolutely right. Like they push these types of kids out because nobody wants to deal with them.
right. And they
Um,
don't give them the services that by law they're required to have. Right. And that's
exactly.
egregious to me. Like, how can you not service a child when the state and the federal government mandates that?
And Francesca says,
Yeah. Well,
"Wow, my children are in charter. I didn't know much of this
yeah.
because
I- you might have a different experience, right? Everyone's experience is different, but this is, I'm speaking generally, and I know because there is a charter school in my building that I work at, and I can see it, like it is truthful. So yeah,
okay, okay.
just be like as a parent, be a vigilant parent. When you notice that your child is not okay, you're bring them back to public school. And there are plenty of awesome in the city. There are plenty of amazing public schools. Right?
Jeffrey says, I'll keep my mind, keep that in my mind. He might be pursuing outside of New York by
And
that
that's
point.
cool. Yeah.
I mean, everybody needs some sort of teaching, no matter where you go in the world.
True.
So,
True.
and okay, so I'm gonna ask about two more questions, and then I'm gonna open up the floor for the chat to ask you questions.
Yay.
So, Accent. Okay. Okay. Um, when it comes to teaching, if you could, where would you create your own school and why? And who would you hire? If you
Oh,
can pick
mm.
3 people from your life to hire.
I'd hire all of you from my first year teaching. I really would.
First year of teaching. Okay.
I really would. I think you would all like contribute greatly to that school. Um, but I don't. My ideal school is that it's definitely here in the city. I wouldn't want to teach anywhere else. You know, I'm a product of the city, went to public school in the city, now teaching in public schools in the city, right? So I wouldn't want to go anywhere else. I just want to just hone in on, like I said before, those reading and writing skills on all levels, right? Whether it's, pre-K or 3K all the way up to seniors. Um, I want to advocate and continue to advocate with my students, and be like, and what I want is for them to be like civically engaged with not just their community and their city, but the world. Um, I would love it if my as a school we can just all we do is not just learn but like experience and like visit places like and travel, not just here. There's so many places here in this country, but we can go to lots of other countries because that's really the only way you can really learn about a culture and a people and a group, right? Um,
Mhm.
is to immerse yourself in that country and those with those people. That would be really cool. That would be really ideal. If and I've traveled a lot, but there's a lot more places I want to go. But my time is limited, and my budget is limited. But it'd be great if like the school could fit the bill, and we could go.
Definitely.
um but really, like I said, like that, a school where we're not just about what we're learning, but that we're also going to continue that track of positivity and have it be contagious, um and so that my kids and their kids one day hopefully will grow up in a better world, right, than I did and than you did, right? So, and like Francesca's children and Sharice's daughter, and you know what I mean, like that. Everybody's has a better future. The next generation. Um,
Definitely. Definitely. We have a question from my best friend actually, and we were actually talking about this earlier. And she says, "Hi, Miss Perry. Do you know what school supply list for the fourth grade is?"
I wouldn't even know. um, I mean, but you always want to do the old school, right? You gotta be traditional. Notebook, pens, pencils, a couple of folders. I don't know. I'm not a binder person. I can never do binders.
Mhm.
Erasers, rulers, staples. So that I wouldn't go crazy. The school provides. Um, I know that at all the schools that I've worked at, we provided kids with resources and materials that they needed. In fact, the
Mhm.
school that I teach at now, and I've been teaching for a while, um, the kids don't have to bring anything. We have everything for them. And now everything is digitized. Everything is all on the computers. My kids a lot of the time will work on laptops because even the testing is going to switch over. All the testing is switching over to digital format. And so they need to learn how to take a test with a computer. And so they need to do their work on a computer. Plus, like in college, the professors, or they all, whatever college you're going to go to, they're all online platforms. So kids need to learn
Mhm.
how to submit online, right? And do all those things as practice. But I wouldn't go crazy if the teacher, I'm pretty sure will have a little supply list. I never do. We have everything that we'll ever need.
Okay. And that was actually a follow-up to my next question. Like, what teaching method do you prefer from back then or the teaching now with technology and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to say it with my one of my famous quotes. The only thing constant in education is change. I'm going to say that one more time. The only constant thing in education is change. So things change, but change is not always a bad thing. I'm getting the hang of this. It actually made my life a lot easier, some of this tech stuff. But I am a traditionalist when it comes to the reading and writing and annotation skills. And I believe wholeheartedly that kids need to interact with books, um, and need to write in them and take notes in them and have notebooks, or they could be sticky notes, they could be index cards, they could be whatever, however they like to take notes, right? Because I don't prescribe a specific way that they take notes. It's whatever for that student fits them best, right? But yeah, and I told my principal, she's definitely on board. Like my AP, with anyway, it's a college class, but on a high school level, I can't teach that class without a textbook, right? And so therefore, the kids are interacting. We order for however many kids we're going to have every year. The kids are they write their names all over it so that they know it's theirs. And that's where they're reading and writing and thinking and annotating and interacting. And that is everything, because that's learning right there. Whereas when you're looking on the computer, it's just so much harder to have things stand out and resonate, and there's so many other distractions. You can have your platform where you're typing your answers out, and then a distraction will pop up.
Hmm.
um Whereas the fundamentals of learning is really from a book. you know uh,
Yeah,
and it's something like tactile about a book that is just really, that's another thing that's a sensory thing for a lot of the kids, that even me, like, I need it as a sensory thing, as a book. I still write everything down in a notebook.
so and it's funny that you said that because that's what I do with my daughter. Like her school, she's in the seventh grade,
Mm,
and her school gives her like digital
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And what I do is I'll screenshot it, I'll send it to myself, create a PDF out of it, and
yeah.
print it out for her.
Yay!
And I sit her down and say, do it this way, then put your answers on the computer. Because with her, she thinks she's slick. She likes to open up another tab to have
Yeah.
YouTube in there. I'm like, no, no, it's
Yeah,
not
and
work.
then it's like AI stuff now. Like, then they can just copy it with AI from something else. Like, right? So
Literally.
that's not that's not learning. That's learning how to
It's,
be savvy, like, and get away with not, doing what you're supposed to be doing.
I ac- I asked her what plagiarism was, and she couldn't even tell me.
Right. And then, they don't write in cursive anymore.
They
So
don't.
no, that's the one thing I've learned. I had like a bunch of like historical, because I'm all about reading primary sources. I want kids reading primary sources as much as possible, right? So I wanted to make it like a more appealing to the kids, and I took like letters from a book, and I wrote it out in cursive, and I dipped the papers in tea to make them look old. And again, I set it up in stations. And so each station was a specific letter that they were analyzing, right, for that thing, whatever unit was in history. And I could see, like, the first few times I did it, okay, the kids could read it. Then year after year, it was like the kids were struggling. I was like, why are they struggling? Is it the words? Is it hard for them? Is the vocabulary? No, they couldn't read script anymore. I was like, okay, well, then that's out the window. Now I gotta rewrite the. But I
Okay,
was like,
okay.
yes, I wanted to make it genuine. I was like, this is how people wrote in, this time period. Like, they wrote in cursive.
Literally.
Um, so
Um,
those are things that are changes that even that is like, oh, you have to pivot and you have to figure that out, and not, it's not the kids' fault. They just stop teaching that, right? And then elementary schools don't teach geography anymore. So when they get to me in high school, They don't know anything. They don't have any geographic skills. They're at a zero. So that's okay. And I tell them right off the bat, I'm like, guys, this is not a knock on you. It's okay. I've studied the evolution of the teaching of social studies from K to 12, and I know that they're not doing it anymore, so it's okay. I'm not here to make you feel bad. I'm here to help you learn that part too, right? So
Okay, okay.
yeah.
And Francesca, she says
Yeah.
that, yeah,
They're not. And I feel like
not
it's just like a lost like art now. It's like a Jeffrey, the artist over there, like it's like a lost art to be able to write like cursive.
Nelson says that's crazy how it all changed.
Yeah, it's all changed. Like this
Yeah.
year was the first year, for example, that the College Board mandated that the SATs be on the computer. That the students take them all, the SATs on the computer. We're like, okay, this is different. We're used to the old school, like, okay, you're taking a test, bubble, 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 right, 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 right. No, and now everything is on the computer, and that has its own issues, right?
Hmm.
Even when College Board, I sent them like a 20-page complaint letter during the pandemic because they forced my students to take the AP World History exam in the middle of a pandemic that year. Kid, I remember I had a student who lost five immediate family members. And we were all like, learning through Zoom and digital platforms, and we're trying. How am I supposed to console these kids and then teach them AP World History at the same time? Right, with all this trauma, I've lost family members, other people, right? um, Being stuck and in your surroundings when all you want to do is be around people, right? That was difficult. So my complaint letter was supported by my principals and other administrators and my superintendents and other executive superintendents of the city. And I said, how dare you, in the middle of a world health crisis, tell my students that they need to take this exam on a digital platform. Some of them were taking them in their bathroom of their apartment building or whatever. They couldn't find a quiet space. I said, it's not their fault if the power goes out. It's not their fault if there's a distraction because there are other members in their household living in the same place, right? And they can't find a quiet spot. I was like, my kids are just as capable, just as smart, and just as incredible. Why, where this is first racist, this is socioeconomic. This is a socioeconomic problem. This is, all this. I labeled every discrimination possible, right, and gave them evidence of why, right. I was like, my kids are just as capable of those who are wealthy and never have their power out, right? Or who live in
Hmm.
houses rather than, one room or in the projects. You know what I mean? They're just as
Exactly.
capable as those, compared elsewhere. That's not fair to them. You're not giving them the same opportunity, right? But they didn't listen, unfortunately. And it's okay. I mean, they're a monopoly. It's the only company that deals with AP exams and for college board. I mean, for college, for SATs. And anyway, most colleges don't even look at them anymore, the SATs. So since the pandemic, so it's not much of a factor.
Okay.
So that's good.
Okay.
I'm glad because there should be more than just a test as your indicator to get into a college. You know, we're not all
Definitely.
test takers. I know I'm not.
I'm definitely not. Like I remember when I took the test to join the military, the ASVAB, and I barely passed that test. So
But you passed it, and thank you for your service, by the way.
thank you, thank you,
It's
thank you.
amazing. It's such an honor.
Um, so my last question before I open up the floor to what is now your students and your daughter. Um, when you first walked in, what was it? Six Law too? Yeah, Six Law. Well, Law two.
6L2. You guys were 6L2. That's what I had,
Yeah,
6L1, 6L2, and 6L3. I
yeah.
had all three of
So
them.
so when you first walked into 6L2 to do your first lesson with us, what stuck out about us?
That was a great question. I just I remember you guys just like looking towards me and really like you were wide-eyed and I was so scared. Like I was so scared, but you guys were like that you were the best behaved on that first day, first couple of days. And you were like eager to learn, like you were looking and you were listening and you were paying attention. I remember hands being raised. I remember like those kinds of things. I remember you guys looking at each other, kind of saying like, "Oh, who are you?" and who, looking around to see who's who. Um, I remember that I had to figure out like, okay, what is the first thing I have to have you guys do? That was hard. I had to like think on the spot. I said, "Oh, okay, I need to know your names," and so I had you guys fill out index cards. I think to to know your first name, your last
Yeah.
name, your address, your like that need to know information. I think I asked like, "What was your favorite subject?" or whatever. um, yeah, I had. I remember like I wrote my lesson plans on yellow pads. And so, and I have them, I still have them like everywhere I transfer to different schools. And I have like, I remember writing notes to myself, like how I was going to group you guys. And I have you guys' names and how, what you guys were going to be doing and in which group. It was so cute.
Mhm.
So every time, like every now and then when I go into my closet at work, I'll try to look at those old ones. Um, but yeah, it was amazing. Um, it was really precious to be in front of you. And I just remember the look on your faces. It's like, okay, what's she gonna tell us? What's she gonna teach us?
Mhm. Mhm.
Some of you were scared, some of you were shy and quiet, some of you couldn't shut up. Like yeah.
So Sharice
Oh
says,
my
I
god,
remember
you can start.
she used them in college for her history IDs.
I still
So
have kids fill out index cards to this day. I have and that's how I can quick like get to see who they are.
definitely. So this is everybody's chance to ask her a question um, in the comments, and we will do a little mini Q&A before we head out of here. So if anybody has a question for Miss Pieri, please put them in the comments now. Oh, now y'all don't got questions. Cool. All right.
Silence. Crickets. That means that
Quick.
we taught them everything. No, I'm kidding. The teacher talk. Come on, Terrence, right? You give it if there's no questions,
Definitely. No
we
questions,
never
guys.
done
They got what we needed to teach them. So
then. How funny. No, but
and
people have to they have questions, it's just being quiet,
okay, so here we go.
Oh.
Your daughter says today was the
Oh,
first day seeing my classroom. What did you think about seeing your daughter's classroom for the first time?
that was also a really surreal moment because I mean she was last year was her first year teaching. And every teacher's worst year is their first. It was hard. It's always horrendous because you don't know what you're doing, and then there's a lot of factors, right? Um, but I've always like you still call me Miss Pieri, which is funny. But you guys still now you're adults. You can call me Mary. But I remember I kept saying and I kept teasing her last year into this year. I'm like, you're Miss Pieri number two. I'm Miss Pieri number one. Like, and so I walk in there to help her set up, and it was just wow. she was 1 years old, like not even when I was teaching you guys. And now she has a whole classroom of the same kind of situation, same little kids, wide eyed, like wanting to know, wanting to learn, being in pains in the butts like they normally are, right? And she's got it rough because it's first graders. But I'm just so proud of her. Um, and really it makes me emotional thinking about like, wow, she really chose to follow in my footsteps, which is really special. Um, you know, and I reminded her, I said, "Are you sure you want to do this after you saw me come home?" When she was younger, I was like, "You sure you want to do this? You saw how I was on some of the bad days, and I'll come home and be like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore." But no, she chose it, and it was just so her setup is so amazing. She has this like affirmation mirror with like all
Hmm.
positive like phrases for her kids, and so they look at themselves and they can say and repeat some of those positive phrases to themselves. She's very organized. She's a type A. I'm the opposite. But she's got her bins and her this and her that. She knows where everything goes. Or it was just amazing, and to see her interact with her colleagues who were also setting up their rooms, and seeing one of her principals. And so I'm like, the first thing was like, I hear a staff member say, "Hey, Pieri," and I turned around because we're used to like in a school setting, everybody calls each other by their last name, except I mean, my
Hmm.
school are on a first name basis, but you really refer to them and you see them, with a last name. It's almost like why it's so strange that we refer to ourselves as just with a last name because we do have. But I just turned around and I was like, oh my God, no, they weren't talking to me. They're talking to my daughter. Like this is amazing. I really am proud of her. I can't believe she's starting her second year. I think this year is going to be much better for her than last year. She's got, the first year kind of um, out of her way. Now she's going to start in a different, with more confidence, right? Knowing that she's already completed her first, which is always the hardest. I think the first and the last year are always the hardest.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you said she's Miss Pieri number two, and you she was one when you taught us.
Uh-huh.
So why not bring her in the camera so everybody that you taught can see how old she
Should.
is now?
Safi, come here. Safi, the fans want to see you. Terrence is asking. He's like, come on, Miss Pieri number two.
Miss Pieri number
You
two.
were 1 years old when I taught them. And now you're a teacher. This
Hi,
one.
everyone.
See, Miss Pieri number two, y'all.
You too.
Only because of age. I'm older. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Francesca says Miss Pieri number
Yeah.
two.
It's just like, yeah, Miss Pieri number two. Oh my God. Yeah.
But also, um, Francesca says, did you continue after we left?
Oh, at MS-45?
Yes.
Yeah, I stayed there. First of all, I cried my eyes out when you guys graduated middle school. Like it was very sad for me. I hate it when kids, I love it. It's a bittersweet moment because you guys are leaving us and whatever. But I stayed there. I stayed there until I had my son. So I have a son. He's 19. So I had Michael, and then the year after I had Michael, I left and I transferred. I don't know if you guys remember Miss Rosario. She was an
Yeah, I
assistant
remember her.
principal there. Um, she asked me to come to her school for a little while and teach there. It was right behind Yankee Stadium, 167th and Girard. So I worked with her for like 4 years, I think, and then I came over to Manhattan. So I
Okay.
stayed there a little
Okay.
while longer. Um, and it was good because I got a lot of, you know, I became a veteran. So I started there and I was brand new, and then I became then I got my tenure, and then I became a veteran, and I was training other teachers. So I
Mhm.
had like leadership positions at MS 45 for the first time, which was really cool. Like I was like the lead for the fourth floor for, uh, and I was like leading a department and training teachers, and it was like really nice to be able to like start brand new, not knowing what the heck I was doing, to now knowing and then passing it forward, right, to brand new teachers, right? So that was kind of nice to be able to do that there.
Okay. What year did you leave MS 45?
Well, let's see. I had my son in 2005. I think I left there 2006 or 7, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Somewhere around there. Either 2006 or 7. I can't remember. Um uh, yeah, it was hard to leave. It was very hard to leave. Um and just like you guys said, like you guys built relationships, lifelong relationships with each other as classmates, all right, and lifelong friends. That was just as the same way for us as with my colleagues. Like we were very close, and still are. Like every now and then, if I ever when we see each other, it's like we pick up right where we left off. Um, so it was really hard to not see them every day and not have that connection all the time. Um, and that community, to be able to have to walk away from where I started, right? Because I was like a part of the community there. And everywhere I go, I try to become part of the community because I believe that's important. That's part of like the whole building relationships thing, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, if this works, I do have a surprise for you.
Oh my God.
Um, if it does work, but we're going to continue taking some more questions. Uh, uh, it says, what's a subject you wish students had an opportunity to study and learn more about in school?
Um, that's a good question. I think it really something that is practical to them, right? I would want my kids, and I would have wanted it for myself. I would love to take a class in something that interests me only. So if I'm that way, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other people and I'm not the only one that likes what I like, right? And so therefore, there should be a subject for kids that have like a specific interest in, because I think they're going to get a lot more out of it, right? Since they're passionate about it. I mean, the
Definitely.
fundamentals are important, right? You got to learn your English, math, science, social studies, all that stuff. But something that is interesting to you should be a class.
Okay, well, I have one part of your surprise, and here she is.
Hey.
Oh
Hey
my
guys.
God! You have not changed at all.
Oh
You have
yes,
the
I
same
have.
face since sixth grade, girl.
Thanks to you and Mrs. Smirlowitz, I am fully engulfed in the law. Um, I have not gone to law school yet. I do work as a paralegal, but your foundation and your advice and all of your tools and skills helped me shape my life to what it is now.
Sharice, I'm forever proud of you. It was such an honor to have you in my
Thank
life
you.
in front of me. Really, I can't even.
shout out to shout out to the bro Terrence. Like he's the one that's been keeping us
Shout
together,
out to Terrence.
making sure we all
Thank
stay
you.
together. He created the group chat. We're supposed to meet up. I'm not sure when. Everybody's life is always, busy, but one of these days, hopefully, we will all get together and sit down and talk.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
This is so fulfilling. My
This
like heart
this was
is
so
so
fun.
full
Like
right now. My heart
Terrence,
is so
can
full.
you add Miss Milowitz? Can we get her on here next week Friday or something?
I'm gonna reach out to her.
Yeah, like make
Yeah,
this a thing. Like, just
Yeah, I'll
people
give her a
talking
call.
about
Yeah,
advice and stuff like things like this is needed in the community and it's needed like in
absolutely.
general. Like as adults, we all are stuffed in full of social media that
Mhm.
a lot of us are not aware of all of these things. Like we all have children now. So to hear from a teacher's perspective, this is going to help us raise our kids, and maybe we can, give this information to a friend or family member who has children.
It takes a village.
Definitely.
It's a
Cuz I
family.
had no idea about the charter schools. I'm telling you, like
Be
And
careful.
like a lot of people I know have kids in charter school.
Be careful of them. It's not what they it's all cracked up to be.
Mhm.
There are a lot of issues with them.
Yeah.
It's cool if that's the only job you can get. Like my daughter, that's the best
Mhm.
job she could get. Fine, get your feet in the door. You got to start somewhere, right? And then you can transfer anywhere else after that. But even she sees it how like she's bound by what to teach them. She has to
Mhm.
teach them these things, this curriculum.
Mhm.
She can't stray away from them. She tests them nonstop. They're first graders. They're being tested once a week. More than
Wow.
yeah.
My daughter's actually in Catholic school.
That's great.
She's
That's
only there because she has a best friend there and it's close to my house.
but that's
I love
great too
I
because
love the school because they're really like patient with me and her. And they usually give good resources too. So for now she's gonna be in like Catholic, but like as she gets older I might switch her out. But I just want her to have some type of structure right now because toddlers all over the place.
oh yeah, no, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with like Catholic schools or parochial or that because again, like it's not a business either.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, they're collecting tuition from you, but it's not a corporation.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's different, and the Catholic schools follow side by side with what the public schools are doing, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, a difference, but it's only slight, right? And they'll teach everyone. They really will.
Well,
How's your son? He's 19.
He's 19.
That's
I miss him.
amazing.
He's in college. He's
I
in.
can't believe he's a pilot. Like there's like really nobody that does that. I was
There's
like, wow, her son is a
there's a
pilot.
shortage. Yeah, so he went into
That
the
is amazing.
he had an interest when he was younger, and then I signed him up for lessons out of Westchester County Airport,
Mhm.
um, and started him on flight lessons. And he got his pilot's license before he got his driver's license, technically.
That's good.
Yeah. So now he's doing he already did his initial license. He can fly or VFR, like at night and in the clouds. And now he's
Mhm.
working on the commercial license, the next one. And then
Wow.
next year he'll be, or next semester, or next year he'll be a flight instructor.
Mhm.
And then he just needs like 1,000 hours, and then he has a choice of whichever airline he wants to go to.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's so dope.
definitely.
It is like I'm very proud of him, and it's like he's doing a lot of work. And he wants to finish early. He wants to graduate early, and he will.
Mhm.
But Um, yeah, I told him, I was like, if this is your hobby, I can't pay for this. If this is what you want to do for your career, then fine, I will pay for the lessons for you to learn how to fly.
Mhm.
I, I
Mhm.
was like, as long as I can get free airline tickets out of it, I think it's all worth it. No, I'm kidding, but it's worth it at the end.
Yes.
Yeah,
How is it different? Like, cause I know like now technology is like all over the place. Cause I remember like when we were in school, like it was like everything was different. Like,
barely
and
have.
it's crazy to think about it like that because it's like it makes me feel like I'm older. Like I'm just like I'm so like not in the loop on like how schools are doing things now.
No, Sharice, I feel the same way as you because I didn't start with computers either. We didn't have
Mhm.
computers at MS-45. We didn't use them. And then even when I was learning, I never my first computer class was in high school, and then
Mhm.
even my first cell phone was in college. So that just gives you an idea, like
Right.
how I think that your generation and before, like mine, I think it makes us a lot more intelligent because we had to think, and we had to also. It was it wasn't as easy. Things are easy now to access. Whereas
Mhm.
before, you had to sit there and think. You had to actually read maps to get to where you want to go.
Mhm. MapQuest.
You like now you put it in like whatever navigation. No, before you literally like I remember pulling out the map to go
Yeah,
from
like
place to place. Yeah,
that is crazy.
even communication skills, like we knew how to communicate. Like when we were friends, we didn't have cell phones, so we
Yeah.
used pay phones, or we just said we're gonna meet at such and such a place at such and such a time, right? If you're
And
not
you either
there,
showed up or you didn't.
yeah, and that's it, right?
And we didn't ask questions and we didn't
Yeah,
like, oh, let's see your location. Like that's way too
yeah,
private.
which is so yeah, very intrusive, and I think it's also dangerous. It's just like, oh, why do you need to know where I'm at? Like, I don't need to
Mhm.
know. But in some ways, it makes things, yes, easier, right? But in other ways, it doesn't allow our brains to work the way they're supposed to work.
Mhm.
And I think that in this digital age, like everything needs to be instant, and that's why people don't have patience anymore.
Yeah. I'm trying to get my daughter like to stray away from the iPad, but it's like glue. It's like a love-hate relationship she
I
has now with the
know,
iPad. And I told her I'm like, "Well, during school you're not going to have it. Like it's just not going to be around."
but that's now here's the catch 22. How about at
Mhm.
schools where they do use it all the
Yeah. Then that's where it comes back into full like play. I'm like,
time?
this is difficult.
Is definitely difficult. Like
But they it's funny because kids learn the way they see you doing things. So if she sees me on my phone, she thinks she has to have a phone.
true,
Mm,
but there's
That's
like a
true.
balance, right? We lead by example, right? And we
mhm.
teach by example, right? But um I think that the more it's like physical time we spend with our kids,
Mhm.
the more experiences we take them to, and it doesn't have to
Mhm.
be like it doesn't have to cost a lot. As I know, I don't even I can't, right? It's just the time you spend with them. You can explain the groundwork that she's old enough to say, no, mommy's working right now,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
this is with you. Like I'm gonna
Mhm.
put this down now. I have time with you. Like I even every time my kids are around, when we eat, the phones are down.
Mhm.
We're away. We're having dinner right now. We're having lunch right now. We're talking to each other. We're not on our phones,
Right.
right? And knowing that there's like this when you, yeah, okay. I want to be also. Sometimes I want to be on my phone too, right?
Mhm.
But I'm gonna say no. I'm working right now, and then put it down so that she sees that
Right.
and she can learn that there's you give yourself a time limit.
That's good. Yeah, that's a schedule.
Yeah, yeah, and then just
All
keep
right.
using the line. Oh, this is for work. Like right now, I'm working. You see this? Like, yeah.
But we are going to wrap it up here, y'all. I want to thank everybody in the comments. Basically, all the eight law too, with the exception of Miss Pierre's daughter. um,
She's a part of the class too. She was there with us
Yeah, she was
learning.
there. She
yeah,
was.
yeah,
Yeah,
technically she was there.
I was there, and I
Mm.
brought her to MS 45 a bunch of times.
Oh, she's here again. Hi.
Yeah. Hey,
You look the
But
same. Oh my gosh, she was so little.
I used to bring her. Yeah.
I want to thank you, Miss Pieri, for
Thank you goes to
taking
you.
the time to being on the show. I know you were nervous about it, but I told you it's just a conversation.
It really
Like
was. It was an awesome conversation.
I'm the same old Terrence. I'm just a beard and I have a kid now. So
Terrence, didn't you have a beard in middle school? You
Right.
didn't have one
probably
in middle.
In
We
eighth grade,
remember something. It was
it started.
growing in.
It was going in eighth grade.
it was peach fuzz. It was peach fuzz.
Yeah, because I can't remember you without one. That's the part. Like it's so
that
weird. It's like your signature.
No, I remember Terrence had like right here. It was fuzz right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
See, I
definitely.
remember.
But once again, thank you. Thank you, Sharice, for clicking the link, even though I sent it to the group chat and nobody else clicked it. I'm gonna get on y'all when we get off of here. Um, thank you, Miss
I'm so
Pierre,
glad
once
that
again.
started
Thank you
my
for
day.
everybody that tuned in.
Thank you for
Um,
changing it to Friday because you know I was gonna be busy tomorrow.
No problem.
Mayweather's
Um,
fighting. You know, my family is like a boxing sports
Oh, I love
family.
boxing. Mayweather's fighting is fighting tomorrow.
Yeah, it's
Ah,
like an exhibition fight. It's not going to be as good as a normal fight, but you know, he's fighting, so
I love.
everybody's going to be there.
I want to see it.
mm, but
Yep. So thank you guys for changing it to today. Thank you for all of the advice, all of the wisdom. Thank you for sharing. It's been a long, long, long time, but thankfully everybody's still here and we all have, you know, our lives, but everybody's like, you know, still here.
Thank you for being in my life. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. This was so special. Words can't even do any justice. Terrence, I'm forever grateful that you put this together. To everyone who came out on here, like this was. I have see. I this is where I'm going to start
She's
stuttering
gonna cry.
because I can't.
Aw.
This is so endearing. This is
but
so special. Truly special.
we definitely have to put a panel together where we get
Yeah,
all
we
your
do.
students
We
on
should do this.
here
Like, let's
and
try.
we talk. I'm gonna talk to everybody. I gotta add Miss Fieri to the group chat actually.
Yes, please
Okay.
add
Yeah,
me.
yeah, we gotta add her to the group chat. Um, but once again, thank you for being a part of the show, and I'll see y'all in the next one.
Okay.